Hey everybody, Sean here from Somm Wine Club, and I have got some wine for you. This is the Kemper Elpenor Blanc de Noir. This is a white wine made from grape variety called Jaen from the Dow region of Portugal. Now, Kemper is the winemaker, the owner, and the latest of the De Melo family, who have been farming in Dow on this piece of property for over 400 years. Originally, she was a lawyer working in Lisbon, and out of all of the members of the family, she was the one that was offered the opportunity to take over the family estate. She considered that offer for a number of years before finally moving back from Lisbon to Dow to take over the estate at Quinta do Cruzeiro in the heart of the Dow region of Portugal. And from that point, she has been on a tear. The first commercial release of Julia Kemper wines was in 2008. And if you're wondering why the wines are Julia Kemper and not Julia Melo is because Melo's harder to say globally, and so she wanted a wine that was easy to market, easy for people to see and understand and pronounce, and so she went by one of her different family names, which is Kemper. So these wines are sold all over the world, and she's done an incredible job of bringing attention to Dow and the wines that they produce. They're quite different from what I think a lot of people expect from Portuguese wines. She doesn't make blends. She makes single variety wines, focusing on individual characteristics of each variety that has been planted on this piece of property. It's about 20 hectares of vines on this 60-hectare property, and this is one of the more unique ones. So Elpenor is a line of wines that is produced. Elpenor named this way for a caterpillar, which you can see actually on the label. So that is a Delophilia Elpenor, which is an elephant hawk moth, I believe, is what the actual name of the moth that the caterpillar turns into. But when they were doing their organic conversion, they found one of these caterpillars on one of the organic vines, and they took it as a sign that they had sufficiently increased the biodiversity of the vineyards, and they named the line of wines after that caterpillar. I thought that was a pretty cool story. It's to see it visually on the label, I think, is also really neat. But yeah, so practicing biodynamics in a lot of the things that they do, certified organic for all of the vineyards that they produce wine from. And the grape variety that they're using to make this Blanc de Noir, which is a white from blacks, is Jaen. Jaen is the Portuguese name for Spanish grape called Mencia. So if you've had wine from Bierzo or from Ribera in northern Spain, you have probably had a wine made from Mencia. But very unlikely that you've had a white wine made from Mencia, as it's just super uncommon to do this style of wine, especially in a country as traditional as Portugal. So I was really intrigued and excited to give this a whirl, and now let's taste it together and we can see what they have done. So first off, this doesn't smell like red wine. This definitely smells and looks like white wine, right? So it's clear golden color. It's a pale kind of golden yellow in the glass. It even has like a slight tinge of kind of green reflections to it as well. The nose is lifted. It's pretty. It's subtle. There's a lot of like salty mineral character. Actually, the first thing that I kind of smell, it smells a little bit like a cheese cracker, like one of those like homemade crackers, like the crispy cheese that you get, like the extra flaky salt on there. It just has like a slightly cereal grain and nutty edge to it, which is coming from the lees contact. I'm almost certain this wine is done in granite, like bars, traditional granite tanks. It's foot trodden, so they're not crushing the berries and macerating the juice with all of the skins. It has very, very minimal skin contact to try and get the juice out of there as quickly as possible so that it doesn't start becoming a rosé. And then it's aged in concrete to kind of add texture and weight on the fine lees to give more definition and body to the wine. The fruit here is kind of almost a afterthought. This wine's not really about being fruity. It's nutty and salty and minerally and smells delicious. The fruit that there is apple pear. It's kind of yellow apple, yellow pear, kind of subtly neutral in its fruit profile. There is a little bit of like a lift of floral character though. Something, again, lightly aromatic but not pronounced. Like, we're not talking lilies or jasmine, we're talking like wildflowers, like subtle white flowers. The palate is quite different from the nose in the way that it tastes. There is a ton of acidity, a ton of freshness. Dow is a series of plateaus that are surrounded by mountains. So this is, even though Portugal is a coastal country, a lot of the wine regions in the country have ocean influence. Dow is not one of them. It is kind of tucked into the interior, so these mountains provide protection. They mean that it gets a little bit hotter during the day and cooler at night, so you have that big shift in temperatures, which helps to keep the wines vibrant and fresh, while also providing them an opportunity for plenty of ripeness. And that's leaving this wine with really persistent and vibrant acidity. There is more fruit on the palate too. It's green apple, underripe pear. There is some citrus character here too. Lemon zest and lime zest. A little bit of kind of orange, like tangy tart orange. Not when I'm talking mandarin or tangerine, I'm talking like bitter orange. That salty, nutty character from the lees still comes through on the palate. It lingers a little bit longer than the fruit character. So this wine is really just more about that textural element from the lees, from the time that it spends in concrete, which adds oxygen because concrete is porous, allows the wine to fill out a little bit and take on a little bit more body and substance. This is super interesting. This is a really, I want to call this a contemplative wine because you really need to kind of sit down and think and while you're tasting. I appreciate a wine like that because it provides you an opportunity to kind of step outside of, oh, I'm tasting this wine and this is what it tastes like. No, you gotta actually like try a little bit on this one. That's delicious. It's really well balanced. The alcohol's balanced, the acid is balanced. There's plenty of fruit intensity. The minerality and the texture of the wine lingers on the palate. And everything seems wholly complete and yet totally different from maybe anything else that you've had before. So how do you do food with something like that? Well, I'm drawing some parallels between this and Pinot Grigio. It has this textural element to it. It has higher acidity. So I'm looking at things that have kind of some fat and some nuttiness. something cheesy, gratin or something like that, where you're going to play off of the fat of cheese and butter, but also with texture and crunch. So doing like a vegetable gratin, cauliflower is a great one to do because it has a little bit of bite. If, as long as you don't overcook it, you can still get some of that crunch. I really want to do something richer seafood dish, or milder chicken dish, rather than doing like big roast chicken. I want to do like chicken a la king. So doing like cream sauce with ham, and you could do mushrooms here. There is a bunch of opportunity to play with that kind of salty mineral character with fresh seafood, but just make sure that the seafood has enough substance. So doing things like black cod, sablefish, would be a great one here. With so much acidity, fatty sablefish, you're going to help to cut through that. And then you can do some kind of umami, salty, mineral character, nuttiness even. So doing a like mirin or soy-based marinade with the black cod, you'll really add some extra umami and texture, which I think would be really interesting with this wine. Or open the wine, sit down with 2 or 3 friends, and basically have like wine discussion, just sitting and talking about all the things that you can see and taste in the wine, and really like get nerdy with it. Super interesting, really unique wine, and a fantastic expression of what Portugal can do, especially given the the opportunity to express individual varieties in a unique and different way. So I hope that you enjoy the Julia Kemper Elpenor Dao Branco Blanc de Noir. Thank you very much. Experimentation with food is going to be the best thing to do here. So enjoy it, and we'll see you guys all next time.